So I'm looking at my 2001 Subaru Outback H6 3.0 VDC model, and the problem I'm having today, and ever since I bought the car actually a couple of weeks ago, is that the sunshade here on the moonroof gets stuck if it's closed. And when I bought the car, it was stuck closed, and after fiddling around with it a bit, I sort of identified the problem. And what I found after I was able to get it open was that there's these tabs on either side of the moonroof that hang down. They're spring loaded, and what happens is they go up but they don't go down, and they catch on this sliding brace that's on the sunshade itself. And what happens is when the sunshade closes, the back end of that guide catches on this, and then it can't open. But the sunshade does open with the sunroof. This sort of mechanism that's here or in the back slides the sunshade open, and then also forces it to slide closed. But you can't open or close it when the moonroof is closed unless you get in there and pry those tabs down. So I'm going to take a look at it and see what those tabs are doing, if they're broken or there's some sort of mechanism that's supposed to hold them up when the moonroof is closed, or see if I can figure something out here. So I decided I'm going to try and take the glass out of the sunroof here and see if I can get the sunshade realigned. And it's actually seems like it's pretty easy to take the glass out. There is just a plastic catch nut that goes in a hole like this up here in the back of the plastic that covers the slide. This is all it is. You just take the Phillips screwdriver, do a quarter or half a turn, and the center part pops out, and then just use a panel popper to get under the wider part of the shank and pop it out, and that way you won't break it. You can reuse it. And then the plastic piece just sort of pops out, and there are 4 bolts underneath there that hold the glass on. I've already got this side off, and I got the nuts off the bolts. There's one in the front, or one in the back, and one in the front. And the glass should just pop off like that. So I'm going to pop this other side off and then get the glass off and see what I can do. So with the plastic off, you can see there's just a couple of 10 millimeter nuts here that you just have to loosen and take off. And then the whole glass should pop right off. I got the glass off, but the sunshade is now closed. And I think you can see the problem a lot better now. There's those tabs hanging down and the slide catch on the sunshade. Now the other thing that I noted was that when I popped the glass off, there's these little clips, at least on the back there were, and they're just sitting there. Now, I don't know if there should be some on the front, but my car doesn't seem to have them, or at least they're not laying around here anywhere. So maybe they're stuck to the glass. I'll go check in a minute, but I'm going to pull these off so I don't lose them and set them aside. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to try and get these tabs out of the way and forget about them. It would be nice if they were just screwed on, but it looks like they're riveted on, so I can't pull them off. But I can very easily take the spring off of the finger, and then I can probably tape or glue the finger up. Maybe I can glue it up, it'll look a little better inside the car. I suppose I could grind off the rivets or drill them out, but I don't see any sense in doing that. At some point, if I ever come across another car with a sunshade, maybe I'll try and swap it out for one that's not bent and see what happens. But so for now, I think I'm just going to deactivate those fingers, put the glass back on, and call it a day. So I had an idea that might work. Instead of using silicone or tape or something like that to hold the the finger out of the way, I'm going to try and use this magnet. Now the finger itself is actually aluminum or some other non-magnetic material. But what I should be able to do is break a piece of this magnet off so that it can sort of act as a clamp to hold it out of the way. It doesn't need a lot of force without the spring on there. So I'm going to go ahead and separate the magnet from that backing plate and then break it so it'll be smaller and fit in the space. This magnet, by the way, is from an old computer hard drive. So if you got an old computer hard drive, take it apart and salvage the magnets out of it. Sometimes they come in handy for things. Okay, so that just popped off. And because this magnet is a little bit too big, I'm just going to snap it, maybe snap it in half here. And these are pretty brittle, so this doesn't take much. Just like that. That part might even be too big. Might want to trim that even. Okay, so here's the magnet holding up the clip. So the spring, I've taken the spring and I've moved it out of the way. When I put the plastic on, that'll keep the spring encapsulated. That's not going to go anywhere. It might rattle a little bit, but whatever. It's an old car. And so the finger is just hanging loose. And then this magnet will slide up there and kind of hold it. So the bracket that holds the finger is, you know, some sort of steel, stamped steel, and this is probably aluminum. And so the finger itself is not stuck to the magnet, but this is acting as sort of a clamp and just keeping it up there. Like I said, it'll rattle, but it'll be all right. Maybe in the spring when it's a little warmer, I can get some silicone on there and that'll hold it and it won't rattle. But for now, I think this will work. I might have to trim this magnet back a little bit or spin it in order for the plastic to fit on. Okay, so I got the nuts all tightened up, got the glass back on. Now I didn't really torque these to any specific value, but I didn't tighten them too awful much. Got them nice and snug, but don't want to crack the glass. And also tighten them in a crisscross pattern to kind of even out the stress. I figure if they're not tight enough, I can always tighten them, you know, a little more. But tightening them too much in the first place will definitely be a problem. So I'll pop the plastic back on now. Alright, so here's the finished product. And it looks like I really didn't even have to go through any of the trouble of disassembling anything to fix it. But now I have an understanding of how everything works, so I guess it wasn't completely wasted time. But anyway, the shade now seems to work fine. It's, you know, a little bit maybe not as smooth as a new car, but it'll work. And the roof itself will open and close. And of course the sunshade will stay in its position now, but I'd rather be able to open and close it than have it you know, close automatically. So there you have it, just a quick fix if you got an old magnet laying around.